Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Amy McClure. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us today. Well,
Yeah.
ladies, I am not Candy, so I'll go ahead and say that. I know Candy has been hosting our well chats for the past few weeks, several weeks that we've been doing these. My name is Brittany Peavy, and I'm on staff at Southside. I get to help connect people, but one of my favorite things I get to do is to be a part of the well, all things the well, and it is incredible. And I've got Amy here with us. Amy works with our younger children at the church. She is one of our directors under our Southside Kids, and she is an incredible part of Southside. And Amy and I have a special bond because we kind of got to come on staff at Southside at the same time. So I feel like we're kind of bonded in that way. We were thrown into the fire at the same time, but I'm excited about our chat today. Amy is just an incredible lady of faith. And I know for me and my family, we've known each other for longer than we've been on staff. And she and her family, Justin and the girls, are just an incredible part of our Southside community and just our community that we live in. And I'm excited to hear from her today. She has an incredible background that she's going to be able to share with us that she brought into ministry and just help us as we continue to navigate these uncertain times. So we're excited about getting to know her better and just leaning in and hopefully getting some great encouragement from her. So we're not going to waste any time. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about you and the McClure family.
Okay. So, like Brittany said, my name's Amy. I'm the preschool director here at Southside. I work alongside with Erica, but a little bit about us as a family. Justin and I will be married 19 years this September. We have two girls that are 13 and 9. They attend Jefferson, and we moved to this area about 4 years ago, but not coming from far. We were from Athens. So Jefferson was halfway for both of us at the time for work. And so we just started coming to Southside, and the rest has been history for us. We've just kind of stuck around, and luckily I'm here on staff now. So we've enjoyed it here.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I know we're glad you're here. Yeah, you got major stuck. You got recruited into doing things, right? But no, I know Amy and I we got to serve in the early days of the well. So I can remember Amy being there all day, some days setting up and then helping us with that. So you've been here almost since the birth of the well is too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, tell us a little more just about your role here at Southside, and I know for what's it been like to be on staff, and being in ministry this past almost a full year now that you've been in ministry.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of my background, I came from the medical world, which, you never think that ministry is very medical, but I've been able to incorporate a lot of what my training has been into ministry. But as far as coming here as the children's director for the preschool ministry, it's been a blessing for my family because I've been able to minister 7 days a week, whereas in the healthcare world, you minister, but you have to kind of ease around some things sometimes and not be able to show your faith completely. But now I'm able to completely talk about what God's done for me and has continued to do through me. And it's been a lot of fun. But as far as what I'm doing now is I'm able to develop relationships with volunteers that serve with us in the kids ministry. With birth to pre-K, the kiddos, you're able to help start their foundation of faith. It starts from birth. It starts from conception. Those parents are praying for that baby, and when they conceive, stop. As parents and mommy and daddies, you continue to pray for your children. And so by starting out in the nursery, we want to be able to be with those parents and pray over those babies and start that letting them know that Jesus loves them. And I stick to a saying that I've heard for a long time. It says growing up in church and growing a relationship with Jesus are two different things. So
Wow.
we want to empower the parents to be able to not only just bring them to church, but give them the foundation they need to grow in their relationship with God.
And you're right. It's so important from an early age. I know, we have a 2-year-old right now, almost 3, and he has just to see what he is learning and what he is doing. It's been so neat I've been more plugged into that since we've been doing church online from home because
Mhm.
because during the regular when we're at church, I'm in the worship center or somewhere else, and I know that's true for maybe a lot of people watching if you have young children. I know for Chris and I, it's been neat for us to be able to see Nash's curriculum and be able to learn with him, and
Mhm.
just thank you for what you do, because I know just from being a native South Sider, we watched as our boys have grown up, and they've always had loving volunteers and leaders that have prayed over them as they got their diaper changed. It was more than just rocking a baby or
Right.
changing diapers. I've seen the little prayers that are up, and what an encouragement to our young moms. Because that is a hard thing too. I know for me, it was hard to bring my baby to church the first time and put them in a nursery with people that I may not know. And
Right.
I would just say from firsthand experience as a mom that I know that our volunteers and our leaders over our youngest of youngest are just giving them great love and care and spending that time praying over their little life. And
Right.
that is amazing. So I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, so tell us a little more about what's been, I guess, maybe the most rewarding part of being able to do ministry full time. I know you touched a little bit on being able to have that freedom, and I know Amy and I, we both come from non-ministry backgrounds, yet we both for sure were in a type of ministry. She's been in the medical field, and I was a teacher, and I know I've walked very closely with the Lord during my day, shepherding young children, and I'm sure Amy can attest to that as well. But it is different. I know for me, it's been different to have a shift to being in ministry full time and being able to have that freedom to where that is what that is my job even during the day. So tell us a little bit more about that rewarding part, and then maybe if you want to tell us too, because we know it's not all roses, what's been the most challenging?
Yeah. So the most rewarding is seeing the transition. I've been here at Southside for 4 years and in this role for a year. So seeing the infant babies that were being rocked in the nursery, that are now walking, that are now into the toddler room, that are now going to the 2-year-old room, and so knowing that what we have started in the nursery is impactful for the toddler room and then for the 2-year-old room, and then they make it to the pre-K room, which is very more interactive. So just watching those little seeds start, and then they grow. And anything you're planting, you can plant it and then just watch it grow, or you can tend to it. And if you're tending to something, it's going to bloom much bigger because you've given it love, you've given it water, you've given it something to grow off of. And so I think that that's where an impact for what our volunteers give, is that their continuity of being here, every other week or every week, that they're getting to see that same thing with these families and these kids. And like you said, ministry can be messy. You can deal with things that unforeseen inside of a classroom, that a parent may message you and say, hey, I really need you to pray for me about this. And then you stop what you're doing and you let them know that you're there for them. And that ministry's 24/7, much like healthcare.
Well, that
um,
was easy for you.
yeah. So it wasn't uncommon for me to have to do that, but that gives me so much joy to be able to be available for people in that way.
And I know you are, and you're right. I mean, we never know when someone's going to have a need, and that's true for a lot of people in any profession.
Mhm.
I know. I feel like maybe even in 2020, so many jobs now are 24/7, and this whole working from home online thing, I think, has even made that more challenging.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget what time it is, or I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to turn this off. We do have to live some other type of life, and I think that is a challenge for a lot of us, whether we're in ministry full time, or I know a lot
Mhm.
of people who are teaching and having to teach from home, or they work in the business world and they're having to do business from home. But it's almost wrapped in one, that most rewarding and challenging part.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you have to have balance, for sure. Well, I know the families, and I love what you're speaking to about ministering to the family. And I know for our church moving forward, we are really all learning together about the importance of not just ministering, where Amy's ministering to the young babies and Erica's ministering to those children, and then Pastor Ian is ministering to them, and then we have adult ministry. I think we're really rethinking our entire our vision for our family ministry, and how can we meet you guys, you moms, and ladies and people where you're at to help minister to your entire family. And I think that I think we're learning, and we're getting better every day, and some exciting things I think that we're going to maybe
Well, and to me, I like to think about it a little bit, kind of, give an analogy of the grocery store. You don't go to the grocery store to eat. You go there to get the essentials you need to make something. So I would like for kids ministry and the church itself to be like the spiritual grocery store. Come here, let us give you the things that you need to be able to implement it at home, to build that relationship with God, to be able to, serve others, like invite people, to come and get those things they need too, and everybody's going to come here and get something a little bit different.
That's
and
right.
leave with something a little bit
I
different.
love that. That is a great analogy. That's so true. If only I was like a really good cook and could come home and make something awesome. I'm getting better, but that is not my strength. We are definitely, we've been struggling at the PV house, not being able to run by Chick-fil-A or do that, because we live our life in the car, before all of this pandemic and the quarantine. We've lived our life on the go.
Yes.
I've been learning a lot and stretching myself too. So that's good. Well, so let's talk a little bit about this time. During this pandemic and during the time of being at home, what I guess maybe what's it been like for your family? Let us in for the McClure house. What's been challenging? What have you guys been doing? Tell us a little bit about how it's affected your family.
Okay. So, we much like everybody else, we were pretty much thrown into being homeschooling teachers. That is not my strength. I can help you to, set a broken bone and take care of a newborn baby, but I don't do teaching very well.
We've got great girls, so.
So there was a lot of personal chats with Jesus saying, Lord, you're going to have to give me the strength, and you're going to have to give me the patience and the grace and mercy to be able to get through this. And so it came with struggles at the beginning. Both of my girls struggle with staying on task. That happens at school, and you bring them home, and it's going to happen at home. They will get the work done, but it is in their time and their fashion, which doesn't do good for my type A personality.
You want to be like, yes.
I want to be able to mark it off the list, and I want it to be done when I think it should be done.
Right.
So once I, realized by about week 3 that as long as it got done, it didn't matter. That was really hard for me because I am a type A person, and I like to have those check marks. But another challenge that happened for us is Justin works for a dental lab. He's a CAD/CAM design supervisor for 3D printing. And the dental world got shut down. The American Dental Association stopped all production for everything. All the dentists had to stop working. And so that landed him with no job and with no foreseen time of it starting back up. So he, we've been married 19 years, and that has probably been one of the hardest things for us, is that he has never not had a job. So when he came home and was like, well, today was the last day, I go into panic mode. You go back to the type A personality, and I'm like, well, what are we going to do? And he looks at me and he says, I'm not worried. God's going to provide. And I was like, well, I'll worry enough for both of us. So, but of course, I went to my Southside family, and I went to my immediate family, and I was like, we need prayer. We need to know what plan God's got. And, it came down to, it doesn't matter what we want to do. It's what God's got planned. And so once again, after I let go of the control, I said, okay, God, you're going to handle this, and I'm just going to have to trust. And when we did, he lined everything up perfect, and we've been fine, with providing for what we need and everything. And so we're thankful for that. But it's threw a curveball for us because he's been out of town doing some temp work for some other places that are running stuff and doing some phone chat calls for some companies. But yeah, so that was quite a challenge.
And Amy, I'm so glad you shared that, because I know for so many, ladies that may be watching this call, or families that Southside gets to be able to serve. I know there's a lot of our folks who are
Mhm.
experiencing some really difficult times right now, and they have lost jobs, or their job looks different, or they're very uncertain times, whether they're impacted economically or whether they're impacted physically. I know, and it's still going. It's still a very, I know things are opening back up, but I know there's still, new challenges, and folks are really are struggling with this uncertainty. And I love what you said about, the letting go of the control, because that's a good word for all of us as,
Mhm.
and I think I often say, as women, and I do think we might be a little wired a little differently in that than our male counterparts. But it, and I think it's a lesson that we have to for me, I know I have to continually learn that lesson in my life.
Mhm.
I often want to be a few chapters ahead of what the Lord, I think, wants to reveal, and that's very difficult. And I love that you're able to share from a place of true authenticity on this, because you're living it right now with your family. And
Mhm.
that is an encouragement that, God has just been faithful, and that He has met your needs. Um,
Mhm.
and how important it is to remember that we can't do life alone. And
Mhm.
during this time, I love that you said you reached out to your Southside family and your surrounding family and your friends, and and they were able to come alongside you and pray for you. And
Mhm.
that is not to be taken for granted, because
Not. It was one of those, you felt alone. You felt like no one else is going through this. And then you think, well, if I talk about it, then those people that think they're alone, they're going to realize they're not. So sharing is the best part about it. Like I'm real. I'm very real. I've been known to be very real for most things. So sometimes too real, but that's okay. But I just feel like, if I'm a very big control person, and that was where I think my struggle was. But I think, us naturally, as moms, women, wives, the men fix things, physically. We want to fix people, as in their heart, their mind, their soul, take care of them.
nobody be upset with one another.
Yeah. So when that was happening to myself, I couldn't even fix me. And so that's when I went into panic. So when I knew I couldn't fix it anymore, I got in the Word, and I was like, Lord, I know you're going to show that this is going to be taken care of. I know that you're going to take care of us. And so by reaching out to some of my Southside family, they of course pointed me in the right direction. It's kind of like, you get off the path, they're going to push you back on. So it was a blessing to be.
And it's so important to have that accountability, whether you are in a small group or whether you serve on a team with people. I mean, because when you serve in the trenches, rocking babies and feeding goldfish and doing all that, that's your family, right? I mean, you
Yes.
ladies, I
Yes.
know, are a tight knit group, and that's true of any group that serves together, and I love that. And that has been probably, I think, the most amazing part about just this time for our church, I feel like, is watching our people. I mean, we have the best people in the world. That sounds
Yes. Hands down.
a
Yes.
bit emotional just talking about it, but I mean, people have reached out. Chris and I, we're both on staff at Southside, and it's been so amazing to see our people take care of one another, whether
Mhm.
that's been through financial needs, or we've had people who've been diagnosed and have been sick
Mhm.
and have other illnesses that have, and people have just been there, and that is amazing to me,
Mhm.
that our people have been truly that church without walls that Pastor Jeff
Yeah.
talks about. And I love that you're sharing, because as staff, we're not immune to that. And I love
No.
that we can count on our people to come alongside us and encourage us. And we've been reading this week in First Timothy,
Timothy.
um, or last week rather, in First Timothy, about church leadership and encouraging our folks. And Paul is encouraging Timothy in his work, and it's so relevant for today.
Right.
And I don't think that's by mistake either, where the Lord has us reading right now. I told Pastor John, I'm like, we are living what we're reading,
Exactly.
So let's skip the book of Job, please. I'm glad it's not in the New Testament, right? No, we won't be doing that one anytime soon. So, well, thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable and so authentic and open about that, because you're right. The enemy, I think, wants us to, he would want us to keep it close and want us to believe those lies that we are alone and that, we can't be helped in this, and that this is a depressing and dark and whatever time. And I know for many it is, but I do believe that God wants us to believe what he says in his word and what's true. And that we can be the light during this time. And when some of us are struggling and we are down, we can have people that come alongside us and build us up and encourage us and spur us on. So
Right.
that's awesome. Well, we couldn't help, I could not ask you this because of your background being in the medical field, and here we are in a pandemic. And, for a lot of us who don't have that medical expertise that you have in that experience, I mean, I know we have lots of questions, and I guess just maybe share a little from your perspective as a nurse about, moving forward. What does this, and I know this is unprecedented and we've never lived in times like this, but, just share with us some of your expertise and encouragement, or, and it's hard right now to know what's true, what's not. And I guess that our main thing is we want to make sure that we're staying safe, but that we're also, living by faith and that balancing act. So share a little with us.
Yeah. So I've worked many areas in the healthcare world. What I left coming here on full-time ministry was I was a unit coordinator for the neonatal ICU at Piedmont Athens Regional. So I worked with the tiny babies, which we kept very tucked away in a locked unit so they wouldn't be exposed to germs. So infection prevention was very big for us. So I feel like with the background that I have, I can touch on some areas, but the main thing is wash your hands. I mean, I'm sure any healthcare worker will tell you, wash your hands. And we had it say that pretend like you have raw chicken on your hands. You're cooking in the kitchen. You don't want to touch anything. You don't want to touch your face. You don't want to touch any countertops. You don't want to touch your kids. So, pretend like you have that on your hands. And so that way, before you do touch something, you've washed your hands before you touch your face. It's kind of like glitter. If you have anything glitter, any moms out there that have little girls, if glitter comes around, you can see it 3 days later. And so with germs, you're going to feel it 3 days later. So as long as you're washing your hands pretty good, you're going to, lessen your chances of exposure. With things starting to reopen, my precautions for my family is, just be smart. Like if you don't feel good, we're not going anywhere. If we're in a large area, just give space, personal space, like give yourself a box. Don't let anybody in it. I don't even want my kids in my box. But hand sanitizer. We've already been out to a dine-in restaurant, and I will say that I probably feel like it's probably way cleaner than it was before all of this.
Yeah. How many of these things should we have been doing all along? Maybe.
Right. Right. But it's just being conscious about what's being around, around you. A lot of my healthcare worker friends that are still in there, it is very real. This is a real virus that is affecting healthy, that are immune compromised. And so, it's just really more like watching your own symptoms and signals to let yourself know if you're sick or not. And as far as, what precautions you would take for a normal flu season, I would take now. Don't handle little kids. Don't go around your elderly grandparents if you feel sick. Do as much on the outside for somebody as you can. Like with my mom, she's immune compromised. And so we have visited, but it's been at distances. We have sent groceries. We've sent things that they may need. That way, we're not having to have contact with them. But it's
phone call. I know those phone calls have been, I've probably talked on the phone more now than I ever have, because, when life is crazy and busy, it's just those texts and then you see people in person. But like you said, being able to, use technology, but just a good old fashioned phone call to be able to connect with people if they're immune.
Snail mail is good. I like the kiddos. Who doesn't want to go to the mailbox and find something fun and exciting? I get excited when Amazon drops off. My kids get excited when a letter comes in the mail.
Yes, and we have gotten letters from Miss Amy and Miss Erica and some of our kids' leaders and volunteer leaders. That has been an incredible thing for our kids here at the PV House to
Yeah.
open some of that snail mail during this time. You're right. You're right. Well, that makes me feel better. I know, I'm glad you share about that. I mean, so it's really not, rocket science, I guess. We're just really being conscious about what's on our hands. And I love the raw chicken example because that really, because, there is nothing more alarming to me than when I'm handling raw chicken in my kitchen. I go kind of berserko, like I rinse immediately, then I wash out the sink, and then I put everything in the dishwasher because I want it to get like really hot to clean it off. I don't even trust me washing it off. So that definitely gives me that sense of, okay, let's make sure I'm really being diligent about hand washing. Wow, that's good. Well, tell us just a little bit. Final, we'll end here in just a minute, but I just kind of wanted to hear, like, what are you most excited about? I guess as we and maybe speaking a little bit about what we've learned and moving forward as things do begin to reopen. I know as a church we're looking and we're making decisions about what that looks like for us. But what are you most excited about as we, I guess, step into a new season that is really, really will be a new normal for life?
Yeah. I'm just excited to be able to come back to church. Like though we've been in these walls, a little bit working here and there, and we're able to have online services and everything, which is great. And I think that's what's held us tight. It's kind of like been the brick mortar in between. It's kind of like keeping us together. But just being able to see and smile and just be able to be around people. I'm a people person. That's why I went into the medical field. I wanted to take care of people. But being here and finding that connection with somebody. You can connect online, but just that personal touch that you can give somebody. And they may be watching online, but they may not have talked to anybody all week.
Right.
And so when they come here and you're able to say, "How are you?" That might be the first conversation they've had in a while. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And as far as the new normal for me and for my family, we're gonna invest in time together. We were so caught up in the busy schedule of going to dance and going to school and coming to church, and we missed each other. Sometimes it was like a driveway high five, between us all going in the different direction. And so with my girls being 13 and 9, we're gonna focus on experiences versus things.
Right.
So as far as trips and stuff like that, we're going to look into that versus, giving them toys or, art supplies, something to create something with.
When those experiences are taken away, how much more we do. I mean, you're right. That is good. That's so true to have a refocus on that.
So yeah, we're looking forward to being able to do that soon rather than later.
I know. I think everybody's at that point, and everybody is at a different place. I know that, and I know that's something we're learning too as we move forward, and just balancing everybody's different levels of comfort with reopening and all the different things. I think that is it's going to make us better because we are better together. I know we say that's a saying here at Southside we have, and it's true, and I think it's true now more than ever. So.
Right.
Amy, thank you so much for being with us. Oh my gosh,
Thanks for having me.
I felt like I got to know you better, and I felt like I knew you pretty well. So I've enjoyed this, but we love you here at Southside. You are an amazing part. Your family is so important to our ministry and what we do in our community, and we're just so grateful for you. And I'm grateful you'd spend a little time with me this morning. So
yes.
Well, thank you to everybody. We hope y'all have a great day. We'll see you next time on our Well Chat.